We're here with Brett Murray, the Chief Executive of SiteSafe New Zealand, and he's going to be giving our industry and members an update as to SiteSafe and how we're looking into 2021. So, Brett, welcome. Let's kick it off with a reflective question. Looking back at 2020, how would you rate SiteSafe's performance and I guess that of the wider industry?
Coming into 2020, the industry was looking quite buoyant, and then obviously we had the event of COVID and we had the lockdowns, and 2020 was a pretty tough year, and I think the industry responded really well for that. One of the positives of SiteSafe was the opportunity to showcase our relevance to the industry as an industry association, and we did that in a big way, I think, with the COVID protocols. We were asked by the Accord to pull together a team, which we did from vertical and construction, and we worked together to develop the protocols which were rolled out, which enabled industry to get back to work quicker. At the time, we moved back into work under level 3. There was still a lot of government restrictions on there, so it was great that the industry could get back to work, and I think the industry's performed pretty well. We come off a horror year in 2019 for fatalities and injury, and I think everyone was attuned to the need for safety, both from a COVID perspective and also the visibility of the industry was pretty high. So I think people's minds were on the game last year.
In last year's Welcome to 2020 video, you mentioned that SiteSafe's intention is to be seen as more than just a training organisation. How do you feel that that goal was dealt with last year?
Yeah, I mean, when I came into the organisation a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago now, it was with the intention of basically getting SiteSafe to a point where we're fulfilling the mandate that was given to us. SiteSafe's not just a training organisation within industry association with over 6,000 members. All the big guys are members, but a lot of our membership are small to medium businesses, and it was really important to me that we service their needs, that we were relevant, that we had a good value proposition, and we've worked to do that, not just in training, but with advocacy with industry. Research, obviously we had the suicide research in 2019, but we built on that. We forged good relationships with Mates in Construction, Mental Health Foundation, and this year we signed an MOU with Massey University. Well, sort of not this year, the end of last year, we signed an MOU with Massey University School of Built Design to conduct research in collaboration with them. We're also fortunate enough to apply for and get some TEC funding, because for me it's about building safety leaders, not just sending people on courses. And out of that funding, we were able to award 60 scholarships last year. So that's really good. One of the things that came out of COVID also was the need to move to a stronger online presence. So we were already thinking about that. COVID made that a crunch decision and during lockdown, and we worked really hard to do that. And now we have 7 courses, I believe, on fully online, and we were working last year on a combination of webinars and those online courses. Probably the other thing that worked really well in 2020 was we were already moving into revamping our audit platform. The old one was pretty old, and I saw the need to update that, not just the platform itself, but the types of audits we were doing, focusing on critical risks and the stuff that businesses were really concerned about managing. So we worked pretty hard with our partners EcoPortal on that, and it's as we roll into this year, it's getting to a place where we're starting to be pretty happy about it. These things are always challenging, but I think it's going to offer real value to the industry.
So as we, instead of reflecting on 2020, we look ahead to 2021, what do you see as being one of the key issues for the wider industry and as it impacts on SiteSafe from the health and safety angle?
Well, we were given a challenge last year. I sit on the Vertical Leaders Forum, who unanimously voted SiteSafe as to be their voice of safety for the industry, and that's great to get that mandate because it allows us to work with government and key government players like WorkSafe and ACC, MB and others, but it also comes with its challenges, and we ride the peaks and troughs of the industry. Last year was a tale of squeezed margins. What we don't want to see, obviously, is people taking shortcuts in safety. We still want to see investment in safety because It's fair to say construction struggles with a bit of an image problem, and there's been a bit of work done by the Construction Industry Council and others on how do we make construction more attractive for both university and school leavers, people coming into the trades. Being a safe industry is a big part of that. When parents are sitting down with their kids talking careers, they're reluctant to talk their kids into going into an industry which is killing 14 people in a year like we did in 2019. So it's really important that we're on the ball with safety as a part of business excellence, and part of the role of SiteSafe is to provide industry with the support and assurance that the risks that are created by construction, and we are a high-risk industry, are being well managed. So that's always the challenge, and it will continue to be a challenge.
In the past, you've referred to what you call the big rocks principle. What do you see as being the big rocks for this year project-wise, and are they the same as last year's given the shift in priorities from last year, from sort of March, April onwards?
So the big rocks principle is basically the principle of yes, every business has a ton of BAU stuff that churns away, but focusing on 4 or 5 maximum big ticket items that you want to kick off at the beginning of the year. Some of them may roll into out years, but that you're really focusing on achieving. So a couple of hours last year, I'll just run through a few. One was obtaining TEC funding. Building leadership and safety is really important, and there's some key areas for us to support that funding through the scholarships, as I mentioned earlier. One is Māori and Pacifica workers, but also women in construction, a big push on getting more women in construction. A lot of them have come in more the professional areas, but getting women in the trades is a big focus as well. So mental health is another area which post our suicide research has really come into focus, and I think there's a big challenge for us, and we're working actively with partners, as I mentioned earlier, but also with St. John's in developing a course for mental health that's practical and can offer some real solutions. Internally as a business, one of the key things for me was making it easier to do business with us, and we were intending to revamp our website last year. A lot of our transactions are done through the website, bookings, etc. COVID rendered that not possible, so we are scoping it up to look at it this year. But the biggie for us in terms of training and development is going to be the review of our SiteSafe passport, the civil and building construction passports. And I'm committed to working with industry on both of those. We've set up an industry steering group, we're going to have industry expert groups, and we're going to work with industry right through the process, because where I see SiteSafe's role, we're not a private company, we're an industry association, and really our role is to be custodians of the safety standards that the industry set. So we're working directly with the industry, we'll work with them to establish the standard, we'll develop the training, and the way the model should work is then that will be sent to Chazans to endorse. So that's the way the model should work, industry driving the standards, setting the bar, and organisations like ourselves and Chazans either endorsing or having a challenge function to that if needed. The other area that we'll be focusing on is SiteWise. SiteWise has had almost exponential growth over the last couple of years and moved into areas outside of construction with some big clients come on board. Somerset and Ryman's in the retirement village area, but we've also now got 35 councils, Ports of Napier, Ravensdown just come on board, and a number of government departments also. So SiteWise is going great, and people see a lot of value in the product. It was developed once again for the industry at the request of the industry, and we're constantly updating it. And we see that as a really high value product. That's not just some digital tick box exercise, but we actively work with contractors on that. So there's some of the things that we'll be working on and over this coming year.
You mentioned the civil sector, or at least the review of the civil passport, which was also mentioned in last year's video, re-establishing a presence within the civil sector and the various challenges that presents. So has there been a bit of progress there over the last 12 months, or do you see more of that happening in the next 12 months?
Look, there has, and with me you always get transparency, and I'm first to put my hand up and acknowledge that in the past SiteSafe hasn't done things always correctly in terms of the civil sector, and I think over the number of years we lost our way and become a little bit distant from the civil sector, and our main support base became more in the vertical sector space, which, to be fair, probably still is. But there are three big sectors, subsectors rather. I mean, there's civil, there's vertical, there's residential. And I think civil's very important. We need to show civil that we have something of value to offer. We had a great working relationship with civil contractors through the development of the protocols, and we are committed to working with the civil sector in the development of our civil passport. So at the end of the day, when that passport's completed and finished, it'll be the civil sector's passport. They can choose to take it or not, but it'll be theirs and we'll be custodians of it. So I think the opportunities there going forward to have more interaction with the civil sector, but we're also working with master builders and other key organisations in the residential sector. Once again, my goal and my aim for SiteSafe is to show value to residential builders. They want their staff to go home safely at the end of every day, like every other site, but they often don't have the resources to invest heavily in safety. So we'll be looking hard at what we can deliver to them that's of value and is going to keep their workplaces safe.
So each year SiteSafe hosts the annual evenings of celebration in Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch. So I think it'll probably be of great interest to our members and in particular our learners. Can you answer the question, are we back on for the evening of celebration in 2021?
We are absolutely back on for an evening of celebration in 2021. Look, we made the call early last year not to host it. We get a lot of great sponsorship from the industry. 2019 was a fantastic year, and I'm not just saying this, but our evening of celebration, we had 500 people attend. It was a year where we brought in a new award around mental health. We had 3 finalists. The judges couldn't pick. They gave the award to all 3, and it's the first conference, and I've been to a lot of conferences over the years where the winners got a standing ovation. It was just great, and anyone who was there, just the energy in the place and the atmosphere was just brilliant. Really unfortunate we couldn't roll it out, but look, we're a safety organisation and we have to think of people's safety first. And at the time we made the decision, things were very much up in the air with the whole COVID situation. So we made the call not to have it. But this year we're definitely back on, and we're already engaging early with key stakeholders, and it's going to be bigger than better than ever.
So, Brett, do you have any final thoughts, any prophecies for 2021, or given what happened last year, do we want to hold off on those?
I think we've got a bit of a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel through the COVID. Obviously, vaccines are rolling out, and it's going to be a longer haul than people think. I'm already seeing this overseas, and I think there's going to be some pits and troughs along the way, peaks and troughs rather. I think that the industry is going to be a little bit patchy. Some sectors are going to do really well, others are going to struggle, and I think the struggle is going to be with the pipeline of work coming on stream, and we really need to work hard as an industry and the government to phase in major projects so everything's not arriving at once, because it just exacerbates our skills shortage. We have a real challenge around skills coming into the workforce, the lack of skills coming into the workforce. We have issues around the lack of supervisors. So there's some real challenges for us this year, but I think we've shown over the last year that we can work closely with the industry on these things, and I think the future's bright for SiteSafe and the industry.
Fantastic. Brett Murray, Chief Executive of SiteSafe New Zealand, thank you very much for your time, and all the best for 2021.
Thank you.